Glad you're here. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. I'm Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgiani and the show team, Rich Jesse behind the controls. Jeff Burson will check out your social media posts and get them to us. And Ryan Penny is the one you'll talk to when you call 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. Debbie, you pointed out we're both wearing white today.
We didn't even have a memo that went through the team, and we just knew that.
I didn't get it anyway.
I didn't get it either. What were we thinking? That's pretty cool that we're so in sync. It's a good vibe. I like that. Jerry, you wanted to mention a couple interesting things that are happening right now. And you also, don't forget, Jerry, we have a lot of folks emailing us about the pilgrimage that we're going to take in August. I think we're pretty close to saying it's going to be confirmed in the next day or two. So that's pretty exciting. So don't forget to add those housekeeping things in, because folks are listening very intently of how they can get involved. But today the topic is, and it was suggested by our dear friend Gigi from New Jersey. She's done a great job at suggesting topics. And one of the topics that we're going to discuss today is one of the two that she suggested. This one is for today. Do you worry about what others think of you? Okay? Even small children worry about that. And as we grow up and mature as adults, hopefully we learn that, we cannot be preoccupied and obsessed about what other people think of us, because they may not even be thinking of us at all. But yet we do worry about that. So do you worry about what others think of you? And if you have shed that, if you have learned to look past that and to grow in your own understanding of yourself and your spirituality and the understanding of how others think, share that with us, because we want to learn and grow as well. Here's the number, 1-833-288-3986.
Yeah, this could be people of any age, of course. It could be on the job. Are you concerned about your image on the job? Let's say something first up front here. We all want to be thought of well. We all want to be thought of highly. And that's not just for its own sake. It's because we want to be people of character. We want to be people of virtue, people seeking holiness, hopefully. So if we do all of those things, then a lot of people are going to think highly of us. Some people will not think very highly of us. Remember, it was the people, what they thought about Jesus. He was perfect. He was sinless. And, what they thought about him got him killed. And we even read in Acts 5:13, the early church, the apostles, it talks about them, winning the esteem of men and women. They were in high esteem. But also Jesus, elsewhere, Debbie, the apostles say, we must follow God and not men. So this whole question about what others people think of us and how we react to that, or what that does inside of us, in our minds and in our hearts. Let's talk about it.
833-288-EWTN. That's the number to call to get on the show. You will speak to Ryan Penny. He's delightful to talk to. You'll sit on hold for a few minutes. You'll get to listen live, and you can jump right into the discussion when we bring you up. And you have a global platform to share your take on this. So please, you are the teachers in this discussion. We want to learn something from this. Do you worry about what other people think of you? And here's the thing. You may not want to express that because you're thinking, I don't want to look, like this is really bothering me. But you know what? I think it's safe to say, Jerry, even in our work, even in our families, we've all encountered it. We've all had to grapple with it. Wouldn't you say, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely. I think especially as kids, you mentioned young people today, Debbie. I think many of our young people are absolutely obsessed with what others think of them through their social media and their gadgets and so forth. Our self-esteem, our image, our worth, our dignity, it all comes from God. And parents have to instill that into their kids, that it doesn't matter what your best friend thinks of you, the bully down the street, your high school teacher, your coworker, that it ultimately doesn't matter. We all will stand before God individually. But again, I think it's just built into human nature that we want people to like us. So how do you deal with when other people don't really think as highly of you as you would really want them to? Not in a prideful, chest stuck out, boastful way, but you just have a lot of good qualities and characteristics, and people just may not recognize those.
Yeah, the need for love is so strong in human beings, and understandably so. We were created by love. We have that need to return to love, and that's a very important thing. Jerry, let's talk a little bit real quickly before we go on the first break about our show. We've been broadcasting for 4 years, over 1,000 live shows. Our anniversary is this Saturday. We'll be launching the after show on Friday, which is so exciting. The after show with Jerry and Debbie. But let's. Have you thought about the 4 years? Because in the 4 years, we've been very blessed. I would say 99.9% of the folks that give us feedback on this show really are very pleased with the show, the format, what we have to share, the topics. And then there are those few people that really voice their opinions strongly. Some are very kind about how they do it, and some are not so kind. For me anyway, part of it used to bother me. Now it doesn't, because I realize, not everybody's going to like you. You do the best you can. God is hopefully blessing the ministry, and you keep going forward. If you got 100% approval rating, I would be a little concerned. So you do have to kind of weigh that, wouldn't you say, Jerry? Is that an accurate assessment of what we've endured for 4 years? I think we've been very blessed.
Well, yeah, we love the feedback we have gotten from the Take Two family. And as Debbie said, sometimes people get a hold of us and say they just don't appreciate something that was said or done, a topic or a call or something like that. And, we will respond to them just like we would anybody else, and honor their dignity and their self-worth, and try and have a meeting of the minds, because different people have different tastes, quite frankly. So, but in 4 years, it has been absolutely amazing, and we are so looking forward to entering into the 5th year. That'll be on next Monday. As Debbie said, the anniversary is Saturday. We'll celebrate it on Friday. And just real quickly, Debbie, before we get to the calls here.
Sure.
Speaking of what other people think of you, a lot of people have changed their thinking, their opinion of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and that's just because over the handling of the sex abuse crisis and all of that. We all need to remain strong, faithful, obedient Catholics, obedient to the Church, to Christ, whom we're ultimately obedient to. But let's pray for the bishops. They're at their annual or the semi-annual General Assembly in Baltimore this week. You'll see a lot of coverage on EWTN television. Let us be praying for our bishops, Debbie, because the time has passed for statements and committees and programs and all of this stuff. I really think they need to lead from their knees and be praying, and we need to be praying, and we need to repent. And so let's just pray for courage for them, courage and humility, and so something vibrant and really effective comes out of these meetings. That's what I'm praying for.
I like it. Let's do that. Pray for courage. Great idea, Jerry. Okay, this is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and when we come back, we're going right to the phones to hear what you have to say.
Father John Riccardo.
When you and I come to Mass, we're accustomed to thinking of the beginning of the Mass, what we call the Liturgy of the Word, as a time when someone or someones, they kind of get up, they read from this book, which most of us have limited understanding of, about a people who we really don't grasp, with names that are very hard to pronounce, which we feel embarrassed about saying out loud, because you just know people are going, who's Shiltil, for crying out loud, When the Word of God is proclaimed at Mass, it's happening now. It's an event. The wondrous deeds that God has done in human history are being proclaimed in our midst now, and to that, you and I have to respond. And we do respond. We either respond with, so what? I don't care. This is irrelevant to my life. Or we respond by saying, yes, Lord, I believe this, and I want you to take over more and more of my life.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
We know you like listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, but have you thought about bringing them to your next event? No matter what type of event you're hosting, parish mission, conference, or retreat, trust Jerry and Debbie to make it come alive. Begin the process today of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo.
This is your show where you take it with your calls, your comments, your insights, your lived experience, your wisdom. and you make the show what it's going to be after 55 tidy little minutes here. So our number is 833-288-3986. Do you worry about what other people think or even say of you, maybe say behind your back? We'll get to your calls here in just about 18 seconds. I just wanted to mention before we do that EWTN News Nightly, speaking of the bishops' meeting, they are covering it to so many hours a day. It's great coverage, and they're doing it on News Nightly as well with Lauren Ashburn and Jason and Mark Irons and Wyatt Goolsby and the other great correspondents. So News Nightly is on 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Check it out. They will have great coverage of the U.S. Bishops' Conference.
Preparation for the show today, Jerry, and we were having a beautiful chat, and we shared some stories about this and doing a little research about this topic, and I realized that I had to I'm pretty thin-skinned, and I should say I'm kind of deep in the way I take things in and feelings. I respond well to people's criticisms if they're done in a charitable way. If they're not done in a charitable way, then it gets a little hurtful. But I've had to learn to get a thicker skin and not to be so worried about the outcome of what other people think. And that was a learning, growing, maturing process for me, Jerry. And it helped me to be able to do the things that I always felt God had wanted me to do, anointed me to do. Otherwise, I would have just stayed in my own cave, if you will, because I would have been worried about the outcome. And actually, Jerry, you actually helped me many years ago. You probably don't even remember it. Many years ago, we were doing a pledge drive in California, and you actually made a couple comments that I was very aware of what other people were saying and doing. And I remember, do you remember this, Jerry? You said to me, Deb, just give your best, and whatever happens, happens. And it was so true, and it was really helpful. So I want to thank you for that, because that helped me in my process of saying, you know what, I got to let go of what other people's issues are.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on with the other person. That's the thing. They could have very, very deep issues. They very well just might be having a bad day, or maybe we did do something to make them think, what a goofball that guy is or something. So there's a lot of dynamics that go into that. But we're going to get to your phone calls now. Do you worry? Do you care? Do you lose sleep over what other people think about you? If maybe you used to and you don't anymore, like Debbie has said her experience. So here's the number to call. We have that line open at 833-288-3986. And Jerry called in first from Cleveland, listening to Take Two on The Rock. Hi, Jerry. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity, because this is something that I have thought of many, many times over the years, this incident that happened to me when I was 13 years old. So, okay, well, basically, I have been, the kind of person that, does kind of, want to be liked and, just wants to blend in and, have fun with my friends and things. So when I was 13 years old, I was invited to my cousin's 13-year-old birthday party. And so I went there, and she had I really didn't know many of her friends. And, of course, you want to be well-liked. And they had this beautiful backyard, like Hollywood type of swimming pool, and so it was a big pool party. And I am very, very fair-skinned, and I'm Italian on both sides, and so go figure. And my younger baby sister, Sally, she passed away when she was 3. She was born with red hair too, and so I was always a little bit, leery of too much sun. So, but again, I was like, oh, they're going to think I'm this, little spoiled, because I was sort of perceived as an only child, even though I wasn't technically. And I thought, oh, they're going to just think I'm this spoiled little princess if I don't just kind of join in and, tough it out like everybody else. If I'm sitting in the shade most of the time, they're going to, they're just going to think, oh, wow, she must be spoiled. So here, I tried to tough it out. And so as the day was going by, my older cousin came over to the house and took one look at me and said, oh, no, you look like a lobster. And I was just trying to play it cool. I was like, oh, I'll be okay. Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry. I'll be all right. Well, anyway, I really, really paid the price for that because I ended up with, like, burns all over my body and, like, big blisters. And I had to, like, lay in bed. I couldn't move. I was so sore. I had to lay in bed for, like, about, 2 or 3 weeks. I absolutely could not move, and I was just in so much pain. And I remember after that, I thought, and in those days they didn't have like sunblock. It was a little different back then, and I'm 67 years old. So I mean, this is a long time ago. And so anyway, I got I had a little bit of a different attitude after that. It's like I really do need to kind of look out for, what's best for me, and I can't just be a people pleaser or just worry. Although I do try to please people. I mean, I try to get along, and you know what I mean. But I felt like I shouldn't allow myself to just feel insecure and intimidated. I need to use my common sense, and regardless of what people are going to think. And and it was a tough lesson to learn.
Sure.
At 13 years old, but it was important.
Right,
it was
Jerry.
Really important that I learned it.
Right, Jerry. Here's the thing, though. You remember it. So you can always go back to that and kind of jolt yourself into an understanding of how you need to deal with things today. That's what I do anyway. I'll think back to a certain situation and I'll say, wait a minute, I remember the outcome of that one, and I put too much effort into worrying about what other people think or feel, and that didn't work out for me well. And so you have this precious memory. Although it was humiliating and painful and you had to endure all that, okay, I get that. And that's hard for a 13-year-old. But you do have it imprinted in your brain, in your memory, okay, where you can say, no, Jerry, I'm going in a different direction. You brought it up today on the show, so I'm sure you have made it into something that you can reflect back on and help you with future situations.
Yes. Okay, I was 13 at that time. When I was 17, I was dating someone who wanted to go on this golf outing where you follow the golfers all around. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a lot of time in the sun, and everything. So I remember at that time, I don't think it was sunblock, but it was some type of suntan lotion or something, and I thought, well, maybe it'll help protect my skin. And it was a long day, and I remember putting that stuff on me like about every 10 minutes, and he was saying, you don't need all that. And I'm like, oh, trust me, I do. Well, the next day I went to the drugstore, and this friend I knew that was working at the drugstore again took one look at me and said, oh, you're so red. And I said, yeah, but I don't have any blisters. This is a big improvement. And I told him the story about when I was 13. So, you live and learn, right?
Oh, you do. And you've learned well, Jerry, by the way. Congratulations on those important life lessons, and thanks for calling in and sharing with us. I think it just points out there are so many different reasons why people might think what they think about us. It could be physical appearance. It could be our circumstances. It could be the job that we hold. Maybe we hold a menial job and they're way up high in the corporate ladder or something. So there's so many ways to come about this topic today. Jerry, thank you for your call. We appreciate that. 833-288-3986. Have you had experience of learning what people might think of you, and how do you let that not only not affect you, but perhaps if maybe people think very highly of you, maybe if people don't think that well of you, then how do you take that in charity and just kind of let them enter into your heart and pray for them and say, God, whatever they need. It's not a judgmental prayer. I say this prayer all the time, Debbie. When I see people in whatever circumstances that I would be tempted to rush to some kind of a judgment with, I just say, Lord Jesus, bless them, give them whatever they need. I don't say, Lord Jesus, convert them, Lord Jesus, do this or do that. I say, Jesus, whatever they need, I don't know what it is, you do, please provide it for them.
Yeah, I think that's that's a good thing. That's a good practice to adopt, Jerry. And the thing about it is most people are hurting inside. And sometimes when something irritates them or they don't resonate with a certain person or style or personality, it sometimes can bring them back to somebody in their childhood, an encounter that they have had. So you have to always remember everybody's walking, it's a messy thing called life. And people have their baggage and people have their experiences or past experiences. So that's why I think it's very important to be kind always. I feel that strongly because I think we're in a world right now that's it's very unkind. I mean, is it unkind or not kind? Which one is it?
Both.
Both? Okay. Nick,
Jerry,
where
thanks
are you?
again for the call. Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
Sal is in Youngstown, Ohio, listening on Sirius XM 130. Sal, welcome to Take Two. How is your day going so far?
Thank you. Fine. Thank you very much.
Good.
I think there's a number of things here. Number one is we have more ways to communicate than in the history of the world than we ever had. I think Facebook and technology, in some cases, just adds on to this situation because they are allowed to say unkind things at best and lies at worst about people, and there's no repercussion of it. And I think that's sad and frustrating on a lot of people's points. The other thing is, I think that we've become a little what's the word I want to use? Nancy-pansy about things, especially in the military. I was in the military. I was an officer. And in the military, they build you up physically, but they also build you up mentally. And you're tougher. People will say things off the cuff, and sometimes they do it purposely. But right now, what we're witnessing is, everybody wants a sticker. Everybody has to be handled, right in grammar school. Oh, okay, you came to school, you get a sticker. We got to get more thick-skinned. We cannot, because this is the word the world has been and will be. That's what I've seen. Maybe when, if we get to heaven, of course, my thought is, of course, this will not happen. Mercy and love is what we'll see and live with. But we got to get more thick-skinned because there are lies that are being told, and I think you have to stand up for yourself. And when things are not right, try to be merciful, say it nicely, and then but you can't stand by the sidelines anymore. I think the young lady says the world is becoming more angry. I don't know about that because all the apostles were crucified because they didn't like to say what they said. And I think our first 6 or 7 popes were all killed.
At least, yeah.
From Peter on. So, I mean, the world has always been like this. It's nothing new. I think what's new is we should be more educated and we should be a lot more tolerant based on our education. But it seems as though that's not what's happening. And you do have a lot of people out there that are angry for whatever, and that doesn't help things. But, when somebody gets under my skin or I can't, I have a couple of, I can either say something, which probably they get gratified on, some people, or maybe some people do it unconsciously. That's the way they were brought up. In the family, people argue with each other. So I think we need to get a little bit more thick-skinned. We need to do something about this Facebook and what's happening with technology. I think in that regards, I think we're over the red line. How they're using it.
Yeah,
and that has to be dealt with by our lawmakers and by the courts. That's not correct and that shouldn't be done. And worst of all, there's lies. Like I just heard on the radio before you came on the news, that the church, we still have priests and bishops and that are still committing crimes against the young people. Well, show me who these people are. I know we talk about priests that have been dead for 20 years, and all of a sudden somebody comes out of the woodwork, and I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying we got to get more factual, and we got to say, give me the facts.
Right.
Don't play around. But we got to get a little bit more thick-skinned. I know with ladies, I have daughters, they get a little emotional, and guys too. but we got to get a little bit more hard skinned and be a little bit more mentally tough on what happens around us, because unfortunately we do have some very mean spirited people out there. The devil is still alive. Remember, for whatever reason God allows it, he does. So we got to deal
Sal,
with the spiritual warfare as well.
Couple main points, at least, that I'm hearing in what you're saying. The thick skin part you've mentioned several times, and I would say another way to put that is, another way to say being being thick skinned is maybe to be comfortable in your own skin. And what I mean by that is, if we're raised in a tumultuous environment where there's strife in the home and tension and maybe a broken family and all this stuff, then we got to carry all of that stuff with us into adulthood, and that translates often into, a bad self-image. I'm a bad person. Not I do bad things, but I am a bad person. So I think to be properly in a healthy way to be thick-skinned means to know who we are, to know who we are, made in the image and likeness of God, and then that helps us realize whatever that injurious person said over there to me, it doesn't affect me, because I know who I am, made in God's image. And Sal, you mentioned social media as well, and Debbie, that's especially for young people. It's a way to sucker punch people from 3,000 miles away, and they can't hit you back, and you can do it anonymously. Yep. You can get all kinds of anonymous. Sal, hang on the line if you can. Debbie's nodding there. She's got a couple things she wants to say.
Okay.
And Julie,
but excellent points.
Thank you, Julie. Hang on as well. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Call us 833-288-3986. Do you get concerned about what people think about you?
Dr. Scott Hahn.
Jesus gave us the most perfect of prayers. It's always prayed by the Catholic Church after the consecration and right before communion, but always there at the climax of the Mass.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio. EWTN, helping people grow in their love and understanding of God.
I didn't want to hurt my child. It's not what was happening in my mind at that time. It was just all the fear and the panic. And you've got Planned Parenthood telling you it's not a baby, and it just gets all so confusing. But I'm here to speak out that the aftermath of abortion is not worth it, because I cry every day for my children.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Scripture tells us that David beat Goliath with a sling and 5 smooth stones. Funny, the rosary looks kind of like that. The rosary is a Catholic devotional prayer. A set of 1 Our Father followed by 10 Hail Marys is called a decade. You do 5 decades and you have a rosary. And for each decade, we meditate on a mystery from Jesus' life. So the prayers we're breathing in and out set the stage for an encounter with the Word of God. Do a quick search online for the mysteries of the rosary, which are different for each day of the week. What I really love about old school Catholic devotionals like this is simplicity. I'll be honest, it's not always easy to pray or to lead my family in prayer. What do I do? What do I say? Rosary, problem solved. Look, every family's a mess in its own special way. Bring God into the mess. Your family's problems might be Goliaths. Maybe the solution's as simple as a sling and 5 smooth stones. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
Now I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team talks about the amazing story of a dad with Down syndrome.
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Deb.
We're asking the question today, do you worry about what others think of you? We want to hear your take on this. We're speaking to, we were just talking to Sal in Youngstown, Ohio, and he had some great takes on this and wisdom on it as well for all of us to take in and pray about and understand better about ourselves. And then Jerry added about our own self-esteem and knowing and being comfortable in our own skin. And I just wanted to say a couple things on this. First of all, I think Sal was referring to me, Jerry, as the young lady who talked about the world not being kind. So I was kind of stuck on that. And I was like, thanks, Sal. That made me feel so good because I don't feel young anymore. But I just wanted to say that it's so true because I agree with that. Human nature, mean-spiritedness, yes, of course, it's always been around, right? But now with technology, it spreads so quickly, and it's in a massive, permanent way. And the thing that is scary when Sal brought up about technology and how the use of Facebook and social media and everything is that we the results. You want facts. The results are coming out. Suicide rates are at an all-time high. Depression, everything else that comes with everybody feeling that their identity is what it is. If you Google search your name and if it comes up and that's your identity, right? Whatever's out there in the social media world, that is who you are, and there's no way to get away from it. I agree. I've always said that I think it's the devil's playground. It was an awesome way for the devil to get to all of us and to ruin our own image of who we are, Jerry. And like you said, Jerry, we are children of the Most High God, so we really should not be concerned what others think of us, especially when we know it's untrue. So I just wanted to say, Sal, I agree with you. The thick skin part, I think, some people, they get hurt in a very, very deep way for many reasons. I know for me, I get hurt very deeply. I take it, I internalize it. So that's something I've got to grow, I've got to mature out of. I know that. But I agree with for the most part, with everything Sal had to say. And I think it's a good wake up call for us, Jerry.
833-288-3986. We have a phone line open on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It's your show. You make it what it is with your lived experiences, your insights, your wisdom, your takes. And the number again is 833-288-3986, talking about what other people think about us. If you don't have any concern at all, and really, I think we should have a healthy concern of what others think of us. But if you're not concerned to the point of if somebody misreads you or misjudges you or something, and you're just you don't get knocked off balance because of that, call up and share that, because you'll be imparting something important to a lot of people. Debbie?
Jerry, you just said something, and look what just came in. We just got a text message from one of our listeners. It says, because human beings can be judgmental, self-absorbed, uncompassionate, and be horrible judges of recognizing a good person when they see one, so we can't base our self-worth on mere human beings' faulty opinions of us. We must set our sights on pleasing the God who loved us into existence and forget about the rest. And this person says, I wish I knew this when I was 14 years old. See, Jerry, that's exactly what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, great text. Thank you. And you can always send text to Debbie if you've got her phone number. If you don't, we'll give your phone number. But you can text the letters EWTN to 55000. A small data rate may apply. Typically it doesn't. Most people have unlimited, talk and text and all that. But in case it does, you've been forewarned there. But we're going to go back to Julie on the phone here. Julie's been holding very patiently on the iCatholic radio app in Kansas City, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the program. There she is.
Hi, how
Julie.
are you?
Great, Julie. Thanks for being patient there.
Yes, I can remember when I was 5, I had a 5th birthday party, and it was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. And the other kids were talking about me, and I felt a terrible shame come over me. It became horrible, a shame that followed me to today, and I'm 55. So I've worried for 50 years what people were saying about me, and I had a weight problem, and somebody spread the rumor that I was gay, which was a lie, and that has stuck with me. I'm single, never married, and I just want to say my phone burned out a couple months ago. I got a new cell phone, and there was no Facebook on it, and I didn't try to put Facebook on it, and I've replaced Facebook with Catholic radio. And I'm so much happier. I've got peace of mind. I only care what God thinks of me and God-loving people. And I know who I am, and I know what my faith is. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Wow. That, Julie, you just summed up the program in maybe 90 seconds, so what Debbie and I have been trying to convey for about 30 minutes now. So congratulations, Julie. But no, I applaud you for that. And, it reminds me of so many of the saints, Julie. My patron saint, for example, Saint Gerard. He died when he was young. I should know this, but I'm not sure how old he was. I think he was in his 30s. But when he was a brother, he was a Redemptorist brother. He never became a priest, but he was accused of some sort of impure violation of a female. And he lived the rest of his life with that. and he did not say anything. He did not defend himself. And then, of course, everybody in the whole region is going to think, wait, this is the man who did that horrible thing. And he just decided to suffer in silence. And I think later on it came out that he was innocent, thanks be to God, but he became a saint because of that. So, Julie, your point is, God is the only one whose opinion matters. Okay, we want other people to like us, hopefully to love us, but some of the lengths we go to, Debbie, to earn that from other people, and it can't be earned. And that's where a lot of the depression and anxiety and feeling down about ourselves comes in, because, we want to put on more makeup, and we want to get skinnier, and we want to work out at the gym, and we want to drive the nicer car, because of what other people are going to think about us. But they may think we're an idiot anyway.
Yeah. Well, and true. Go ahead, Julie. And we're getting some text messages coming in with direct messages for you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, a lot of folks are sending you hugs. They said they just love your story, and they just they're sending you hugs. So that your Take Two family is sending you virtual hugs, which is always a good feeling.
Oh, praise God.
Yeah. But Julie,
praise God, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Julie, I just want to say, for whatever it's worth, okay, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that those children were so cruel. That breaks my heart that is something that you carried into your adult life because of what children said. I have to say this. I was, when my kids were in school, they used to have us all volunteer to sign up to be playground monitors, where we would have to volunteer and do the recess for, 15, 20 minutes. And I did it a few times, and I couldn't handle it any longer, because the kids were so cruel to one another. The things they would say, they were mean. They would laugh at everybody. Somebody would fall off of a playground equipment, and they would crack up laughing even when the kid's elbow was bleeding, and it was just horrible. And I just want to say that the sooner we learn that, as we know that about our children will say whatever's on their minds, and it's not the truth. They just blurt it out, but it sticks. It sticks. And we've got to realize that we can't give these little kids that ability to really hurt someone deeply in their core level soul like that. And that's why I've always said we've got to do more to educate kids on what comes out of their mouth is very powerful, and they've got to really think about it. So, Julie, I just want to say again, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but your story today probably has helped thousands, tens of thousands. So God bless you for stepping up and sharing it, Julie.
Thank you, and thank you for Catholic Radio.
Well, we're glad we're here, Julie, but I'm just going to turn that back around and thank you and thank the others who pray for and financially support Catholic Radio. It is very, very serious now, folks. The times that we're living in, they've been hard. They've been tough times for many, many years, really throughout human history because of sin. But we're seeing things in our generation that it's I always say, I've started to say recently, Debbie, 500 years from now, when students in school sit down to read the textbooks, or people read history books about this period that we're living in today, I think they're going to be, first of all, totally shocked. I think they're going to be disgusted. They're going to say, what in the world were those people thinking? So Catholic Radio is so important because, Debbie, it's one of the last remaining voices of sanity out there. So thank you, Julie, for that plug for Catholic Radio.
Yes, thank you, Julie. God bless you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. We do have an open phone line, folks. Plenty of time to get on the show if you want to weigh in on this and share if you've come through this feeling of worrying about what other people think of you or what their perception is of you. Share with us your take on this. Please call us at 833-288-3986. That's the number to call to get on the show. And Jerry, you wanted to share about our Facebook page because we've got a lot of fun things coming up. And by the way, don't forget the book club we've got coming up this fall, because I was just reminded that a lot of folks are saying they'd like Julie to possibly join the book club that we're going to be launching this fall as well. So that's exciting.
Are you going to make me read a book?
Yes. But I think you're going to like who it's...
Does it have a lot of pictures in it?
Yeah. But no, I think you're going to like it because I think he was one of your professors at Steubenville.
Okay. Matt in North Carolina, hold on. Just want to encourage people, please, the best way to keep in touch with us and know what's going on, first of all, of course, on EWTN, take2show.com, take2 at EWTN.com email. But also, Debbie and I have a Facebook page, and we have the pilgrimage that we're close to finalizing to the Shrine of the North American Martyrs in Orisville, New York. York, and then another day at the Shrine of the Divine Mercy in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, right around the time of the Feast of the Assumption. What a beautiful, beautiful coming together of a lot of days and events and feast days. For information on that, send an email to take2@ewtn.com. But once we get going with the after show and the book series and so many other things, it's going to be important that we keep you up to date on our Facebook page. And that's Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. So sometime today, tonight, tomorrow, even during the show right now, if you do us a favor, do yourself a favor, go and just like our page. It's Jerry and Debbie on Facebook.
And we're getting quite a few. I mean, like there's like 50 and 100 coming in liking us. So that's really good. That helps build the family.
You mean a day or what? I mean, we got about, okay.
Well, you put out a challenge. Didn't you put out a challenge? You wanted 100 or 50 or something. You got close to it. It was really amazing.
Yeah, it's just the way you said it. It sounded like we've got 50 or 100. 50 or 100. I thought, no, we can. People are going to go, wow, they're off to a great start. No, we're actually up to about 1,600 now.
1,600, yeah. It's all our family members. We come from big families, so we got all our brothers and sisters to like us.
No, we bought the likes. We bought them.
Very true. Okay, so jump in on this. We want to hear from you. We learn from you. Dial this number, 1-833-288-3986, and you can be on the show. Plenty of time, but just got to dial in soon. Matt in Clinton, North Carolina on Divine Mercy Radio is a first-time caller. Welcome, Matt, to the show.
Hey, you guys doing good?
I believe
doing
so,
well, Matt.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty all right. I'm in my middle of my lunch break right now. Had a kids party delay my order a little bit, but I'm still hanging in there. But I first wanted to kind of add in on the Catholic radio bit. Like, yeah, it is definitely one of the last sane outlets of kind of information and entertainment out there. I didn't even know about it until a couple months ago. There was a Ignited by Truth conference in Raleigh, and they kind of pitched it there, and ever since then I've been listening to you guys, listening to Morning Glory, Al Cresta, and yeah, I've been able to deepen my faith because of it. Touching back on the main topic today, yeah, social media and all that definitely, I'd say, has negatively impacted our generation. Like, I straight up don't even make a Facebook account or anything. I don't use it that much myself. Although I do a lot of online gaming, and that kind of spread of just negativity online, and that it's it very much permeates most of the internet, I would say. I got lucky when I started, though, because I just happened to find a good community at the time. But since then, yeah, it's more and more negativity, and then as politics and all that makes its way into it, it just gets worse.
So this online gaming, Matt, do you mind us asking? I mean, how long do you spend on that on a daily basis? I'm just curious.
A couple hours. I play World of Warships, which is like a historical simulator, mostly like World War I and World War II era, like recreated ships, and it has a fun competitive scene to it.
Okay, so you're drawn into the competitive side of it, and so you spend some time on that, and that kind of gets your adrenaline up and stuff like that. So this online community, you said you have a community that it was, pretty nice, and it's but you said politics kind of creeps in and stuff like that. Have you had experience where these online communities really have just blown up and people have gotten really angry and maybe made some threats and stuff like that? Has it ever gotten to that level, Matt?
I wouldn't say it gets to threats. It's mostly just kind of name calling and kind of lower brow stuff, but it never really gets to the point of physical harm. Occasionally you get some someone who streams, and occasionally one of the viewers will try to prank them by calling a SWAT team on them, but that's stopped being a thing for a couple of years now because it's a federal offense.
Boy, oh boy. I didn't know young people were calling SWAT teams out to take care of their opponents on online gaming. Matt, we're glad that you called here, and I have a question for you that just has to do with just your life overall. You've talked about how you have found Catholic radio, EWTN radio. You've been listening for a while to various shows and how it's been of benefit to you. Has that impacted your desire to game, the amount of time that you spent gaming, your overall kind of disposition, maybe a little bit more peace in your life? I don't know. Has any of that happened to you as a result of possibly pulling back from that a little bit and also maybe listening to Catholic radio more?
I would say I'm definitely a bit more calm than I used to be. Like something ridiculous happens or that, I just kind of just pause for a moment instead of just kind of blowing up and hitting the desk. But I kind of come from a good Catholic background before that. My mom's a CCD teacher, so I kind of got raised right. But yeah, I would say it helps.
Thank God for your mom being an RE teacher. I love that, Matt. By the way, Matt, you know that your name means a gift of God, right? I just want to make sure you knew that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I love the way. Yeah, my son's name is Matthew, and I always have to mention that about Matthew. So very special. But Matt, is there any advice you can give to families that have kids that are really addicted to online gaming? It sounds like you've balanced it in your life, but what do you tell parents who their kids are spending the majority of their day and they run into the door, come home from school
all through the night sometimes,
and all through the night? Yeah, they're sneaking it at night. What advice would you give young parents? Or parents of young children?
Well, I would say, first of all, that their kids should have a definite self-image before going in, because it's very easy to kind of get swept in the tide after, while you're in there, especially depending on the conversations. As far as, time allowances and that, well, I never really had that much trouble with it myself, but I would say just kind of breaking up the time they spend, so you have dinner, you have some other family events that kind of break it up so they kind of have to pace the amount of time that they're using for each session. Because I find that that's probably the best way to kind of keep it from going to long periods of time, is having, not necessarily a fully scheduled regimen every day, but kind of things that break up the pace, break up the monotony.
Wow.
Great
Matt,
advice.
You're probably too young to appreciate this, what I'm about to say, but your situation sounds like what was I going to say? Leave It to Beaver meets PlayStation or something like that. Do you remember Leave It to Beaver, Matt, that old TV show? Do you happen to remember that?
I watched it sometimes on TV Land, yeah.
The reruns are still on, but it sounds like the 1950s meets modern day. And Debbie, that's the way we really have to be, is balanced. As a parent, you don't want to say, no, you can't have a cell phone, you can't play video, you can't do any of this stuff.
Right,
but as Matt said, there has to be, they sit down for meals, and then after meals, they have a little bit of family time, and then maybe you get to that. So that it becomes something that it's not like, the image that comes to mind is the heroin addict scratching his arm, because he just needs a fix so bad. Some of these kids, they'll skip dinner, they'll wolf their dinner down, whatever. And this doesn't go for all young people, but it's just a reality that has to be, I think, guarded very, very closely by parents.
Well, and sometimes, gaming is viewed as kind of a babysitter for the kids as well, which can be very dangerous. And so that leads to the imbalance. Matt, you are such a special individual. Thank you so much for gracing this conversation today. And just wanted to let you know, Matt, that text messages are flying in. Everybody loves the name Matthew. Okay, so there you go. I hope your head doesn't get too big as you get off of this break here, that you have to go back. Are you going back to work or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for the nice comments about Morning Glory. And Al Cresta will make sure and pass them on. Or they'll probably, maybe if they listen to the show, they'll hear you,
They
Matt.
listen every day, yeah. Thank you, Matt. God bless you.
Call again, Matt.
Safe day at work. We appreciate your participation. Okay, Carol is next in Rochester, New York, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on AM 1460, the Station of the Cross. Now Carol is not on the air, I don't believe. Not ready. Oh, she's not ready yet.
Okay, almost. Okay.
My bad on that one. Sorry, Ryan.
Oh, there
you are.
Hi,
Okay.
Carol?
Carol's probably listening. Go, no, I'm here.
Hello. Thank you so much for my call,
Sure.
or for taking my call. I just wanted to say that this topic is extremely important at every level of human experience, and as for example, in a medical realm or in a medical context, if a person's reputation has been distorted, it can have serious life or death consequences. What people say about each other, what information is relayed to doctors, for example, can cause them to have a wrong understanding of a patient's needs. That patient may not be able to advocate for themselves. Their identity may be lost in the medical records. And so I hope it doesn't sound too far of a stretch for me to go from just more of a merely social issue, social level on, for example, on the playground. But there is something going on in our society where there is not enough accountability between how people communicate with each other, how they interpret each other. There is not enough verification of what we have heard. Have we heard the other person accurately? Can we recognize when we are making subjective interpretations of what they are saying? Can we recognize when we are using a filter, even as a professional, a licensed professional? Do we recognize when we need to be more careful how we interpret what is said or written about a patient? And is there a conflict of interest to prevent us from verifying information that we have received about a patient who is not able to advocate for themselves?
Wow. Beautiful stuff. Deb, do you want to go first? I just wanted to share something quick. But
No, you just, real fast, Carol, I just wanted to say, as you were speaking and you're talking about, patients and stuff, and I don't think that's a stretch. I think that's going to be a reality, if not, if it's already here. But I was just, as you were talking, it just made me think of the medical field. And I actually remember a story of a very successful doctor who had a phenomenal practice. And because he had a colleague that was jealous of his success, this colleague started a blog against him and literally almost ruined his medical career. He had to switch gears and try to go into another field. It was horrible. There was no basis. There was no malpractice or anything. And it was so sad because like you were saying, Carol, nobody could verify this. The facts weren't out. It was tragic. But I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about it from like the medical side, but it can happen it has serious ramifications for patients, for people. It's really a problem, Jerry, I'm glad we are discussing it. So I agree with you, Carol. Jerry?
Well, a thought that actually might tie into tomorrow's show, which we'll promo for you in a minute. Carol, I think the point you're making is really right on. And a lot of what you said, I think a lot of it is because of everything is electronic nowadays, technology. You go to the doctor, for example, and you're in the room. I have a nurse practitioner. She's in the room with me for 15 minutes, and I think we actually look at each other for a total of 60 seconds, 2 minutes. Not that that's the most important thing in the world, but then you throw in social media and gadgets, and Matthew was talking about online gaming and the attitudes you kind of cop against each other, and you get angry and so forth. There's no personal human interaction, which is where we're going to find somebody's come from, their authentic come from, and we can respond to that in an appropriate way. Whereas in so many other ways, like a text message or an email, it could be meant one way, Debbie, and it could be taken a completely different way.
Very true.
So,
very true. This is alarming. Carol, anything else you want to share with us as we close out this very important show?
I would just say that I would ask the listeners to just to be willing to open themselves up and to receive information about human rights abuses that may be occurring in the institutions around them where they live.
Okay.
Very good. Very well.
Thank you, Carol.
The loss of identity. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh,
may God be with you.
God be with you too, Carol. Thanks for listening.
Carol.
Thanks for calling. We love the Station of the Cross and all of our affiliates. Thank you, affiliates. Without you, we'd have some outlets, but you bring it all across the United States in the AM and FM stations. So thank you so much, Debbie. And again, tomorrow's program, we're going to look at. Go ahead.
Yeah, what human invention or discovery has most benefited Christianity? Wow, Jerry, did you put this on the calendar? I like this one.
I did, and we may look at it from the other angle as well. Which one do you think has had the most adverse reaction on the human race?
On the human race.
This goes back all the way to Adam and Eve. So it could be, you may think that the discovery of fire was the best thing that ever happened. The wheel.
The telephone?
The telephone. The smartphone. You may think one of those is the worst thing that ever happened in terms of evangelization and living the Christian life. So put your thinking caps on and then your sleeping cap's on, and then wake up, take the sleeping cap off, and leave your thinking cap on, and join us tomorrow.
Looking forward to this discussion tomorrow. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Find us on Jerry and Debbie. Like it, and then pass it on to your friends. We want to grow the family. So until tomorrow, folks, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
Dr. Ray Guarendi, avoiding all known forms of psycho